So explain yourself. We all thought the Chevy Volt's biggest problem was that we were scared its batteries were going to catch on fire. You say it's got a problem in the family there at Chevy.
Well, yeah, it does. It has. Look, the battery thing was bad. It absolutely hurt sales in the short term. But what I'm talking about is a long-term problem, and that is that a car like the Chevy Cruze, which gets the same or better mileage when it's running on gasoline on highway as the Chevy Volt, is half the price. And it's really representative of a whole class of cars that are coming out that are conventional, but they've had a lot of technology applied so that they get really good gas mileage. It would take years, maybe decades, to get back fuel savings, the extra money that you spend on the Volt.
I think we're losing you a little bit there, Joe. Joe, I think what you were saying there at the end is that it can take you years to get back and to recoup.
Yeah,
Hi. You're saying it can
Hi.
take years to recoup
Years.
the investment that you pay for the
Yeah.
Chevy Volt. Approximately how long?
Well, depending on how you do the math, it could be more than 20 years.
And so the technology that's embedded in the Chevy Cruze, I mean, I know my parents recently bought a car. It is not a hybrid, but is billed as sort of having sort of super high-tech technology that will help it get better gas mileage. What kind of technology are we talking about?
In the Cruze?
Yes.
Well, in the what it is it's taking what used to be a 1.8 or 2-liter engine and shrinking it down, using turbocharging to boost the power and the performance, and then using basically software to manage the fuel in a much smarter way than you would have done in a car, say, 5-10 years ago. You put all of that together, turn on the blender, and you get sort of the downsize and turbocharge strategy, which adds a few $100s to the cost of a car relative to a car that doesn't have that technology. But you start to get compact cars that instead of getting 30 or 35 miles per gallon on the highway are getting 39 or 40 or 42 miles per gallon on the highway. And with gas that's cheap, that's a pretty good deal.
Does that mean that these automakers are just going to be left sitting here holding the bag with a lot of these battery-powered cars like the Chevy Volt?
To me, that seems like the real risk unless something changes to spur demand for these cars. The Volt in January sold about 600, a little more than 600 cars. The Nissan Leaf, which is an all-electric car, sold a few more, but it was still under 700 cars for the month. At those rates, we're talking tiny niche volumes. But meanwhile, out in California, the regulators are saying by 2025, 1 in 7 of the cars you offer for sale has to be an electric car or a plug-in hybrid. That's a big disconnect. And how they close that gap, it kind of remains to be seen. It's going to be a very challenging thing for the car makers to do.
It's an interesting point you make, the government mandating that they produce these cars, the consumers not necessarily saying that they want them. What will this mean, that the car makers just get stuck with a lot of these on the lot and perhaps just have to sell them at a discount just to meet these compliances, Joe?
Well, that's the situation that's out there if they don't somehow find a way to hedge the risk. I mean, if you build it, they will come. It's a great line for a baseball movie. It's not such a great business strategy for selling cars. So something's got to give. Either the high-tech cars like the Volt have to become a lot cheaper, or gas has to get a lot more expensive, or the government has to kick in more money to even out the cost difference so that people can say, you know what, that's a good financial choice for me.
That will be a political hot potato for sure. Very quickly, Joe, remind us of the differences specifically and numerically in the miles per gallon that these two cars, the Chevy Volt, the one that runs on batteries, versus the Chevy Cruze, get on the highway. I assume it's the highway where you see the difference?
Yeah, it's on the highway when both cars are running on gas. You can get a Chevy Cruze that's rated at 42 miles per gallon on the highway. The Volt, when it's running on gas, is somewhere around 37 miles per gallon on the highway.
All right. Joe White is writing about this, the Chevy Volt versus the Chevy Cruze. More details on that in tomorrow's Personal Journal.